At 8:14 a.m., the group text lights up like a slot machine you didn't pull. Jade. Small backyard thing tonight, 6 p.m. Casual. No gifts. Your presence is the present. Balloons, confetti, 7 sparkles. The exact number her thumbs use when she wants something to feel generous. I'm mid-layout at the print studio, mock-up of a tortilla on my monitor, kerning the word electric so it stops trying to crash into the K of kites. The press behind me thumps like a heartbeat. Silver ink, past 2. Cotton, 6.1 ounces, ring spun. I could do this blindfolded. Sometimes I think I have. No gifts, I repeat to my screen, tasting the sugar and the aftertaste. Their code for, bring cash in a card or guess our registry without seeing it. Their code for, we'll say no gifts now so we can judge later. Priya swivels in from her station, a loop of Tess swatches around her wrist like a bracelet. What's the face? She asks. I hold up my phone. She scans, snorts. Translation. No gifts, but remember who didn't. She used 2 exclamation points, I say. 2 is weaponized cheer, Priya says, wise as a monarch butterfly. Jade is my cousin. Jade is the family brand. Her hair exists in shades you need a mood board for. She and Ethan got married at a barn painted white on purpose. Tonight is a housewarming/post-wedding mingle because their honeymoon content is still in edits. We're on month 6 of just a little more grace for their calendar of parties. I bring a bottle of kava and a loaf of sourdough I made last night because dough helps me not scream. I tie a piece of twine around a sprig of rosemary because aesthetics tame me. I write so proud of you. L in a card and underline proud once. I don't tuck in cash because words mean things. Their yard looks like Pinterest hired a stylist. Edison bulbs loop from fence to fence, and my aunt's friend, who calls herself a tablescape consultant, has created a runner out of eucalyptus and humility. People I love stand on my cousin's patio holding beverages in glassware with gold rims you can't put in a dishwasher. On the cake table, a chalkboard that says no gifts in script that tries too hard to be casual. Look who made it! Jade squeals, and then, because she is also a creature made of algorithms, turns the squeal into a story. Found family is the best family. Hashtag blessed. She tags me, and my phone vibrates like a mosquito. Kava, I say, holding out the bottle. She air kisses. You didn't have to. How thoughtful. You specifically said I didn't have to, I say, smiling with no teeth. Ethan appears and does the handshake that looks like a bro hug, but is actually a receipt. We didn't want anyone to feel pressured, he says, and his eyes flick beyond me toward the table by the fence where a small pile of envelopes sits like an altar. A woman I don't know carries a wrapped box the size of a microwave past the chalkboard and places it shyly beside the envelopes. Jade coos. Oh, you didn't... I know you said no gifts, the woman says, cheeks pink. But I found this at Anthropology. My aunt swoops in to kiss both of them like a condor. People just insist, she says. What can you do? It's a line I've heard my whole life, delivered after decisions made without me. I circulate. I do the thing I'm good at. Ask questions like I mean them. I admire cabinet pulls. I say, love the backsplash, with the appropriate wonder. I find the dog, of course there is a dog, and scratch her ears until her leg thumps the deck. I drink my kava slowly. I leave my card on the table that says cards in the same casual script that looks like it took 3 hours and a YouTube tutorial. On my way to the bathroom, I pass the open door of the office. On the screen, a Target registry with 117 items. The page is open to most wanted. There's a Dyson. There's a KitchenAid, matte black, which is the appliance equivalent of a leather jacket. I stand there too long, reading. I walk away like a person who didn't just see the magician hide the rabbit under the tablecloth. Later, Jade speeches. She holds Ethan's hand like a campaign and thanks everybody for respecting our wishes, and then winks at the card table. "Some of you are too much," she says, and the crowd laughs because they are the kind of people who think generosity is a fireworks show you can buy tickets to. We leave at 10 because I work in the morning, and because boundaries are a bedtime. I hug Jade and tell her to text if they need a hand with cleanup. She says she hates mess, and then snaps a photo of the cake forks like they're a feeling. At 7:08 the next morning, my phone pings. Not a text, not a DM. A Facebook notification with that shade of blue that feels like a lecture. Jade has posted a photo of the envelopes on the card table with a caption. "Grateful to everyone who showed up for us last night. You know who you are. Some people just come and consume with empty hands, not naming names. We're just so thankful for our real ones who get it. Community, Q support, ours adulting." I sit up like my pillow fired me. The tag bubble sits below the caption, with me and 31 others. I open the comments. My aunt, preach. People need to learn manners. We're not in college anymore. Jade's friend Cass, who does that? Ethan's brother, a meme of a raccoon stealing grapes. Another cousin, if you don't bring a gift, at least offer dollars for the food. They don't say my name. They don't have to. The tagging is a map with a big red X where my face is. My mother has liked the post. Of course she has. No gifts. Their code for, read our minds and fill our cupboards. Their code for, your presence is a debt. I screenshot everything. I screenshot my card sitting on the table with my handwriting on the front because later they will say I wasn't there. I screenshot the no gifts text in case we all forgot basic literacy overnight. I open a folder on my desktop called Receipts because that's what I do when I choose not to drown. At 7:24, my hands stop shaking. At 7:25, I text Priya. Me. So, they posted a thing. Priya, I already saw. My feed is angry with confetti. You okay? Me. I'm a printmaker with a petty streak and a moral center. Priya. Ah. So, do we pick a font or a lawyer? I laugh. It tastes like ink. I'm thinking shirts. I type, and my spine clicks into place one vertebra at a time. I'm not a vengeful person. I'm an accurate one. I design things for bodies to wear and for truths to sit on quietly until they're read out loud. If a fact looks good, screened in white on black 6.1-ounce cotton, that's not my fault. That's typography being objective. At 9:02 a.m., I pull open the studio's front gate and breathe the particular cocktail that is my church. Plastisol, citrus degreaser, a hint of coffee, and the metal smell of a press waiting. Noah is already here because he is part raccoon and part sunrise. He's aligning a 4-color head like it's a toy he loves. "Hey, outlaw," he says. "I saw the post. You want Rage Black or Court Gray?" "Court Gray," I say. It reads as reasonable to juries. He grins. We've all been little lawyers for ourselves since we were 12. "I need 5, I say. By 2. For a family meeting I wasn't invited to yet, I say. But they will invite me because people like having storylines resolved in a room with coleslaw. Priya arrives, drops her tote, and plugs in the heat gun. "Let me guess," she says. "We're printing words on things." "We're printing their words on my things," I say. Plus, documentation. We gather around the computer like witches around a cauldron if witches cared about kerning. I pull up Jade's text, "No gifts," and drag the screenshot into Illustrator. I trace the bubble. I vector the line. I set the timestamp 8:14 a.m. in a subtle sans. I add the second screenshot, the Facebook post, cropped clean. I put them side by side on a mock-up, as if we're making a before and after for common sense. "No," Priya says, tapping the screen. "The hierarchy's wrong. led with the no gifts. Put the Facebook caption below with the date. It should read like Exhibit A and Exhibit B. Add the "you know who you are," Noah says. That phrase is the villain. I also found their registry, I say, not looking at them yet, because I know the silence that will follow. Open on the office computer last night. 117 items. Priya looks at me over the top of her glasses. Don't dox, she says gently. I'm not printing their address, I say. I'm printing the idea of the registry. The sentence that sits under the search bar. Find a registry. In big type, and a QR code that goes, not to their page, to a page I control with a list of local charities and the sentence, when people say no gifts, believe them. If you don't, consider giving here instead. Priya smiles, slow. I am into ethical pettiness. It's my love language. Noah claps his hands. Let's burn some screens. We pick a font that says Courthouse Exhibit without saying, I have a hidden JD. We pick an ink that reads crisp on black. We print one front and one back. Front. The text bubble, the timestamp, the no gifts. Back. The Facebook caption, date, timestamp. And under it, find a registry in a tasteful sans, and the QR code to my charity page. Small at the hem, number sign, presence is enough. While the film burns, Priya types copy for the landing page. She writes like I screen, clean, no flourish, intention in every line. Presence is enough. If an invitation says no gifts, believe it. Bring your attention. Bring a story. Bring a hug if that's safe for both of you. If you still want to give, here are organizations that say yes and mean it. We list the food pantry, the domestic violence shelter, the neighborhood mutual aid that buys tires and dental work, not fireworks. I add a line at the bottom. If you were shamed online for respecting a boundary, we see you. Noah pulls the first pass. The white ink lands like a fact. He flashes it, lays it again, hits it with the second. The lines hold. It looks better than most apologies I've received. I need one in small for me, one medium for Priya, one large for Noah, one large for Ms. Alvarez, I say, and 140 for Aunt Brenda. Aunt Brenda? Priya says, eyebrows. The one who brought a casserole to your breakup and threatened to put jalapenos in your ex's laundry? The very one, I say. She's fed up with Jade. She's ready to wear a deposition. By noon, the shirts hang in a row like witnesses. I cure them like I'm sealing a deed. I tuck them into tissue and craft bags because packaging is part of the sermon. At 12:46, my phone buzzes. Mom, family BBQ tonight at ours. 6 p.m. Jade wants to clear the air. Be constructive. Wear something nice. Wear something nice. Their code for lower your voice and raise your tolerance. I text Priya, 6 p.m. BBQ at my mom's. You in? Priya, do I get to be your lawyer or your chorus? Me, both. Priya, I'll bring Ms. Alvarez. She's dying to test out a witness tea. Noah, I'll stand next to the potato salad like a bailiff. I'm not staging a spectacle. I'm staging accuracy. I am a woman with a folder called Receipts and a printer that can put them on cotton. At 5:22, I put on my tee. It fits like a mission. I wear black jeans and a jacket I only put on when I need my shoulders to look like I could lift my own house. I slide my phone and a small notepad into the pocket. I slide a Sharpie behind my ear because it makes me feel prepared. I breathe in for 4, hold 2, out 6. Dr. Hara taught me to count in equal parts so nobody else's numbers run mine. We meet at the end of my mother's street like a defense team. Miss Alvarez wears her hair up and her reading glasses on a chain because she is a woman who came here to see. Noah carries lemonade because being right doesn't mean you don't bring something cold. Priya adjusts her tea so the timestamp sits perfectly centered over her ribs. It's ridiculous and also holy. We walk in. My mother's backyard tries to be Mediterranean. The rosemary hedge is an aggressive rumor. The lemon tree is more optimistic than practical. There are lanterns my dad calls ambiance. The grill hisses like a curtain being pulled. I step through the sliding door and feel that heat on my shins. The heat of eyes. These are people I've loved my whole life. People who taught me to make deviled eggs and also how to abandon myself by degrees. Jade stands by the table in a white eyelet dress that says, Summer Bride Content Season, and looks at my shirt like it hissed. Really? She says. Accurate, I say. Ethan laughs, short, sharp. You printed screenshots? I printed your invitation, I say. And your post. It was a joke, Jade says. You don't get jokes. You tagged me, I say. Jokes don't come with GPS. My aunt, the one who thinks decor is a personality, folds her arms. You embarrassed the family. You did that, I say, when you posted public shame with my name attached. You weren't named, Ethan says. You tagged me, I repeat. Are we pretending timestamps are fictional? Can we not do this in front of the potato salad? My mother says, her voice Nancy Drew solving a murder. Let's keep this civil. Civil, I say, like not calling me out on the internet for following directions. No gifts is a convention, she says. It means bring something small. It means no gifts, I say. Then why did everyone bring one? Jade says, arms thrown wide at her altar table with the envelopes and the box that probably contains an expensive blender that will crush her ice like a metaphor. Because people love you, and half of them are anxious, and you perform a life that looks like a brand event, I say. And because you have always set expectations without speaking them, and then punished people for not reading your mind. Someone inhales like they discovered oxygen. My father clears his throat. He stands like he's going to run a meeting. Let's bring it down, he says. We asked you here to apologize. He looks at me, proud of himself for saying the word. I wait. He doesn't continue. Of course he doesn't. For what? I ask. For feelings being hurt, he says, backpedaling in loafers. Your mother hates drama. I hate being disrespected, I say. Honey, Mom says, this is your cousin's big year. We all need to pitch in. I reach into my bag and pull out the folder. I open it on the picnic table. The wood has the faint ring of a lemonade glass that never learned coasters. I lay out 3 pieces of paper. The no gifts text, the Facebook post, the Parks and Rec permit fee I printed with my own money, and anonymously mailed to Jade last week when I learned their park wedding had cost $72 and left them with rage about a city budget. Here's the timeline, I say. At 8:14 a.m., you wrote no gifts. At 7:08 a.m., you shamed people for respecting you. People piled on. My mother liked it. The algorithm danced. Are you really doing discovery? Ethan says. He is trying on words he learned on TV. I am showing you the thing you did, I say. Jade's eyes shine in the way that used to make me rush in with a towel. I do not move. I have learned how to let people sit next to their cause. So what? She says, chin twitching. You made merch. Exhibits, Priya says, cool. Awareness tools. Ms. Alvarez says, warmer. A fundraiser, I say, and point to the QR code. This goes to a page where my friends and I are raising money for the food bank and the shelter and mutual aid. We're at $1,340 in 12 hours. We wrote a sentence together. If an invitation says no gifts, believe it. If you still want to give, here is where gifts matters. Aunt Decor scoffs. So you're profiting off public drama? I'm printing off public record, I say, and choosing to route the money toward people whose cabinets don't fill themselves. I make shirts for a living. Today I make them for a purpose besides tour dates and inside jokes. Noah cracks open the lemonade and pours like a man who knows he's here to wet throats and quiet fires. Jade stares at the shirt on me like she could peel the facts off and fling them away. You're humiliating me, she says. I'm telling the truth, I say. Humiliation is what happens when truth and performance collide, and you hoped everyone would pretend. I'm not pretending, and I'm asking for a correction. A what? She says flat. Edit the post, I say. Or delete and write a new one. Say, we wrote no gifts, and meant it. We're sorry we shamed anyone who respected that. We will choose clearer words next time, or none at all. If you want to celebrate us, donate here. Use my link, or use your own. And untag me. And stop using you know who you are like a weapon. My mother inhales for a speech about graciousness. I hold up a hand like a stop sign with a manicure. If you want a private apology, I say, you give private harm. If you do it in public, you repair in public too. That's how grown-ups on the internet behave. For a second, no one speaks. Then Aunt Brenda appears at the sliding door like the ghost of every casserole that ever saved a Tuesday. She's wearing the tea. On her, the timeline looks like scripture. Behind her, two of my younger cousins, both oversparkled, both carrying potato rolls, both wearing tees they stole from Noah's trunk. The line of us is ridiculous. It also steadies me. Aunt Brenda sets down the rolls with the gravitas of a notary. She looks at Jade. Baby, she says, and Aunt Brenda only calls you baby when the word foolish is trying to climb into her mouth. You asked for no gifts. You can't turn around and ask for gifts. That's not etiquette. That's extortion with frosting. Priya coughs to hide a laugh. Miss Alvarez doesn't even try. Ethan rubs his jaw. We weren't serious. We just wanted to. To what? I ask. Test who will love you out loud with objects? Keep score with tissue paper? You got married, you bought a house, you're already in the registry of adulthood. If you want cash, say, we prefer money. If you want a blender, send a link to your list. If you want presents, say presents. You sent 2 messages and then punished people for respecting the first. You know who you are? That's who. He opens his mouth. Jade touches his arm. She looks at me, and for the first time tonight, I recognize a person in there who used to be mine. I didn't know it would feel like this on the other side, she says, voice small, like the inside of a seashell. I didn't know how to ask. I wanted everything, to look cool and be cared for. I know, I say. Me too. For years. That's why I'm in therapy. Pause. The word lands like an invitation instead of a brick. I didn't plan it. I let it. What do you want from us? She asks, not angry now. Just honest. Delete the post, I say. Write a correction. Tag me if you tag anyone. Put your registry link in your bio if you want. It's not a moral failure to want a blender. It's a moral failure to shame people for not buying it after you said not to. And take the registry public so you stop asking people to pass around a password like a secret handshake we all have to clumsily fail. Or take it down. But choose. She nods, slow, like a person learning each muscle individually. My mother breaks first. Of course she does. Fine, she says. Delete it, Jade. We don't need this negativity. It's not negativity, I say. It's accountability. Negativity is my word for accountability when I don't like it. Mom says, and I blink, stunned. She looks at me. What? You think I can't learn? Aunt Decor whispers, are we agreeing with the shirt? Like we've broken a covenant with the gods of centerpieces. Jade pulls out her phone. Her thumb moves. She deletes. She types. She shows me the draft. It's not perfect. It's not even my voice. It's hers, better. It says, last night's post was wrong. We said no gifts and then shamed people. I'm sorry. If you want to celebrate us, donate to these orgs that feed people and house people. If you want to bring a gift sometime later, text. If not, we love you. Presence is enough. Add the part where you untag me, I say. She does. She hits post. It goes up like a flag. Later, after burgers and the strange relief that follows a truth balloon popping. After Ethan loosens and my father tells a story about his own dumb 20-something mistake, as if it was him cueing humility instead of the universe. After my mother tries to send Ms. Alvarez home with potato salad and is rebuffed with a smile and a no. Thank you. I stand at the fence with Priya, shirts dried under our jackets. You good? She asks. I think so, I say. I didn't set anyone on fire. You printed facts on cotton, she says. We need more of that. New merch line? Noah yells from the grill. Truth, but make it Bella plus canvas? Shut up, I say, and because we're us, it's not mean. It's grateful. Before I leave, Jade hugs me. It's not a performance hug. It's the kind that feels like a sentence that used to be too scary to say. I meant the part about presence, she says. Then write it on the invitation next time, I say. And mean it in the comments. She nods, watery. I can do that. Good, I say, and go home to a couch that holds me and a cat who judges me equally no matter how dignified I feel. The shirt sells out in 2 hours. I don't mean it to sell at all. Priya posts a photo of us in front of the press with the caption, Small Business Loves Literacy. The charity page ticks. Strangers message me their own screenshots, their own texts that say no gifts with the smiley trying to make it cute. They ask if they can borrow the art. I say yes, send them the file, and a note. Make sure your QR code goes to your local orgs. Petty is an engine. Ethics is a wheel. Dr. Hara, who has been quietly interested in my printing life as a metaphoric practice, nods when I tell her what I did. Her office smells like lemon polish and thyme. She writes a sentence on her pad the way she does when she wants to hand me back my own words. You didn't go for blood, she says. You went for boundaries. I put the sequence in order, I say. No gifts, no shame. You named the harm, she says. You asked for repair. You let them be human, and you were too. I also made a t-shirt, I say. Humans need costumes for their courage, she says, like a person who has watched too many quiet wars and knows what armor looks like when it's cotton. At the studio, we print a second run with the caption changed. Presence is enough across the front in bold sans, and a simple list on the back. 1. Say what you mean. 2. Don't punish clarity. 3. Repair in the room you broke. Noah puts one on and flexes like a dad. Priya rolls her eyes so hard she might see last week. Aunt Brenda orders 2 for pickleball. Miss Alvarez frames hers. I don't ask questions. Jade texts me a screenshot of the donations total. $4,780. Her caption, better than a blender with a blender emoji that somehow doesn't make me hate emojis. My mother calls to tell me that her church friend Louise got mad at the new post and said, the devil loves public conflict. And Mom told her, God loves a boundary. And I nearly dropped my phone because if the revolution comes, it will be in supportive italics and on a banner in a fellowship hall. Ethan starts a group chat with me and Jade and says he's sorry again, this time without posture. He asks if we can hire the studio to print their friends' family reunion tees, and adds, "We will pay you." And I pin the message because it feels like a hinge I will want to swing later. On my fridge, I tape a new log next to my receipts folder, because ritual is how I know I'm alive. Boundary log date. Boundary. Held. How it felt. Saturday. Don't accept public shaming. Yes. Like a press locking into registration. Sun. Ask for public repair. Yes. Like ink biting into cotton. Permanent enough to count, soft enough to wear. Monday. Petty, but ethical. Yes. Like a QR code to a pantry. Tuesday. Don't carry the apology bag. Yes. Like leaving a heavy box on the stoop and walking away. I mailed 2 shirts to a woman in Ohio who wrote me a paragraph that made me cry in the studio bathroom. I tuck in a note. "You aren't crazy. You are reading." She writes back a week later. They took down the post. We had a real conversation. Thank you for lending me your spine. The studio gets new business. Print my receipts becomes a thing we say when a band wants their contract terms on the box of their merch as a joke and then actually stands by it. Small acts grow muscles if you exercise them. Not everything gets solved. Cass, Jade's friend, posts a vague about people who can't take a joke. I let it float down the river of the internet without climbing in after it. I am retired from swimming for opinions that don't pay rent in my ribcage. At a family dinner, Aunt Decor tries to bait me with a conversation about etiquette, but Aunt Brenda shoves a deviled egg in her mouth mid-sentence and says, "Hush, Gina, we're trying to unlearn." And I laugh until I feel 10 years lighter. And then, one afternoon, while I'm changing out a squeegee and trying not to get ink on my good shirt, the front bell rings. It's Jade, hair in a normal ponytail, no glass-stemmed agenda. She holds a bakery box. "Peace offering," she says. "Is there an apology macaron flavor now?" I ask. "Honestly?" she says. "Probably." We eat on the shop's stoop. People walk by with dogs and other small optimism. Jade looks around like she's in a different city than the one she curated for 9 months. "I'm joining a buy-nothing group," she says. "I think I need to relearn wanting." "I get that," I say. Desire isn't a crime, but performing it like a moral test feels like one. She nods. We put the registry link in our bios and said, "If you really want to." We also put the donation link first. People gave to the organizations, and then they texted saying thanks for being clear. Clarity feels like a weird thrill. "Same," I say. It's like breathing and not holding an apology in your mouth at the same time. She laughs. "Do you have to turn everything into a sentence?" "Yes," I say, unashamed. It's how I remember who I am when posts try to rename me. She looks at the press through the window. "Can I learn?" she asks. "To print. To make a thing that's not a caption." "Sure," I say, surprised enough to feel it in my wrists. It's mostly about pressure and alignment. "Like relationships," she says. "Don't get ahead of yourself," I say, but we both know we just wrote something down. A year later, we make a new run of tees in a color called bone because fashion needs darkness and light. The front reads, "No gifts means no gifts." The back reads, "If you want something, say it. If you don't, don't. If you mess it up, repair where you broke it." We don't include a QR code this time. People know where to go now. The pantry sends us a thank you postcard with a photo of shelves that look like hope. The shelter sends a letter that uses words like bridge and gap and urgent, and I feel the strange humility of being one long cotton thread in a bigger thing. Jade joins our Saturday open lab sometimes. She burns a screen wrong once and looks like she killed a small god. We teach her to reclaim it. She prints a tote that says, "No is a gift," and gives one to my mother, who uses it at the farmer's market like a truce. At Thanksgiving, there's a stack of board games on the sideboard where the envelope altar used to live. Mom announces, unprompted, "We're just glad you're here." Don't bring anything you didn't want to bring, and I catch the flicker of who she becomes every time she chooses a sentence like that. I pass her the sweet potatoes without making a speech, and that too is a boundary, not needing to turn myself inside out to be heard. Ethan starts a GoFundMe for a kid on his block who lost his bike and doesn't tag anyone with "you know who you are." He texts me the link and says, "Clear?" with a screenshot of the copy. It is. I donate the cost of a blender I didn't buy him. He sends a blender emoji anyway. We still fight. The internet still invents new ways to be tacky. People still invite conflict to dinner and make it carve the turkey. I still keep a receipts folder because people still forget. But the shirts in my drawer feel less like armor now, and more like a uniform for a job I chose. Tell the truth in the size I wear. On the studio wall, we keep a grid of Polaroids of things we've printed that changed something. A protest poster that got people to a meeting, a school fundraiser tee that bought new violins, a run of aprons for a diner that hired back its crew after the flood, and the first no gifts shirt, edges curled, ink cracked in that way that feels less like damage and more like proof you wore it through weather. One evening, after sweeping up plasti dust and rinsing a screen until the emulsion runs like a river giving up its silt, I lock the shop with Noah and stand on the sidewalk like a person who finally knows where she ends. "Dinner?" he asks. "Always," I say, because friendship is the only registry I will sign in blood these days. We walk past windows where other people are trying to look like you can't hurt them. I want to hand them a cotton thing that says, "You can and you did, and here's a number to call." I want to hand them silence, too, when it's a better gift. When I get home, the porch light flips on. I turned it to a sensor last month because I like the idea that my house anticipates me. On the console table inside, my own small pile of mail sits with its quiet faces. There's a handwritten note from the shelter. There's a catalog full of beautiful things I don't need and might want. I put it in the recycle like a ritual of refusal that doesn't have to be dramatic to be holy. The shirts are folded in my dresser, soft as muscle memory. I slide one on sometimes even when there's no party, no barbecue, no witness stand. It makes me stand up straighter in private. It makes me talk to myself like I'm the person I defended in a yard with lanterns. I tape a new page to my fridge, a clean one that doesn't try to keep score as much as it tries to keep me in shape. What I turn on now? The press, when the truth needs printing. The porch light, for people who asked if it was okay first. The music, when the day earned it. The phone, if we're repairing in the right room. The kettle, for whoever is crying at my table without making me a villain in their caption. It rains that night in the way the city does it, like an apology that also waters the hydrangeas. I step onto my little back step and let a few drops land on my face. Somewhere in the city, someone is writing "no gifts" and meaning it with their whole chest. Somewhere else, someone is writing it and didn't. I hope a friend sends them a file and a QR code and the sentence we wrote together. Presence is enough. It always was. It always will be. When it isn't, say so. Then take the consequences like an adult with a blender. I go in, I make tea, I sit and drink it without defending my cup to anyone. The press sleeps behind its cover like a good animal. My shirts wait. The internet hums. In the morning, the donation total ticks up by $30. And I feel something I didn't know I'd get to feel again after years of playing polite tug-of-war with people I love. Ease. I send Jade a photo of a new print I'm working on. Block letters, thick, clean. She sends back a mock-up of a baby onesie she wants for a friend. A simple presence is enough across the chest in a font that doesn't need anyone to clap. Do you have 6-month size? She writes. Always. I text back, and it's not about cotton. It's about what I have of myself and what I'll bring when the invitation says no gifts and means it. I show up with my eyes and my laugh and my quiet and my past printed under my skin where it belongs. I don't need to wear the shirt to remember the text. I am the shirt. I am the exhibit. I am the press that I keep, oiled, ready, for the next truth that wants to dry on something soft.